Let's observe silence for some time. Oh, we'll chant the first 5 verses of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Anashritah karma phalam Karyam karma karoti yaha Sasannyasi cha yogi cha Na niragner chakriyah Yam sannyāsamiti prahuhu Yogam tam vidhi pandava Nahya sannyasta sankalpaha Yogi bhavati kaschana Arurukshor munir yogam Karma karanamudhyate Yogarudhasya tasyaiva Shamah karanamudhyate Yada hinendriyartheshu Na karma swanushajjate Sarva sankalpa sannyasi Yogarudhastadochyate Uddharedatmanatmanam Natmanam avasadayet Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuhu Atmaiva ripuratmanaha
The 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana is meditation. Yoga, how to use meditation to reach the state of self-realization. So all chapters are yoga. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. So how to use any spiritual practice to merge with the supreme reality. So that's what it means. The word yoga is derived from the Sanskrit root yuj. Yuj means to unite, to join. So why are they saying to join, to unite? Assumption is we are separated from the supreme reality. Otherwise, where is the question of uniting, the joining? So assumption is you are the supreme reality, you are that truth. But right now, there is a separation. So the mission of life, human life, is to merge with the supreme reality. In fact, all scriptures, they are telling that to us, that you have no other mission other than merging with the truth, the reality. Now, either you understand it or you don't understand it. They're not going to explain. Tat Tvamasi, you are the truth, you are that reality. And even if scriptures they hadn't talked about it, by our own experience, we understand this. Now, why we are saying it? Because you cannot find true fulfillment in life. In fact, everybody is having that sense of incompleteness. Doesn't matter whatever you achieve in life. You may be well to do financially, you may have excellent support in your relationship, you may be having all the money, all the power in the world. In spite of that, there is something missing in our life, everybody's life. So, why it is happening? Because our original state is supreme reality, which is a state of absolute fulfillment, absolute bliss. And unless and until you reach that state, there will be pressures of desires, which all of us are experiencing. And there is no way you can get rid of those pressures, that incompleteness, that void. So, therefore, all the scriptures they are telling us our only mission, our ultimate mission in life is to find out our identity, which is a state of self realization. And only a human being has this opportunity to do that. And how many of us are making use of that opportunity? To find out, you ask yourself, I must ask myself. Because being born itself is a gift, it's a rare thing. So, therefore, they use that word, yoga. So, how to use dhyan, meditation, to merge with supreme reality. Now, we are on the 6th chapter, and we have already covered the first 5 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. There are 18 chapters in case somebody is new. So, before we start studying verse by verse the 6th chapter, we must understand the thought flow in the first 5 chapters. So, what we have covered so far. So, the first chapter, can we have it on the screen, Magran? Yeah, there you go. You can see? Okay. So, the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the Yoga of Arjuna's Despondency. Arjuna represents you and I, a common person. He was relatively successful, intelligent, like all of us. But when he faced a personal challenge in his life, he could not handle that challenge. See, it's all symbolic. War symbolizes life, the challenges which we face in the world on day-to-day basis. So when things are going smoothly, we all are happy, we all are peaceful. Where is the problem? But when we face challenge, it could be at home, it could be at work, it could be your health, it could be situation like war, which we all are is like looming. So how do you deal with challenge or challenges in life. Number one, world should not bother us at all. This is the ultimate message of all the scriptures. But none of us can claim that. It is bothering us right now. So there is nothing wrong with the world. There is nothing wrong with these challenges. World means challenges. But if you don't have the capacity to face these challenges, then you buckle. So again, you use your own experience. So when Bhagavad Gita says Arjuna collapsed on a battlefield, it means you and I do not have that ability to face the challenges of life if it goes beyond our capacity. It's all symbolic. So therefore, it is called as yoga of Arjuna's despondency. See, elaborate backup is making, the backdrop is creating. And Bhagavad Gita starts with the word Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, isn't it? In case you have forgotten, start Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Dharma Kshetre means your original nature, which is peace, bliss, the field of piety, field of contentment, field of happiness. That field of happiness has turned into battlefield, Kurukshetra. Unnecessary stress, worry, anxiety, conflicts, confrontation. For what? For no reason. And why it is happening? Why it is happening to all of us? See, if you are absolutely peaceful, totally contented, then you don't need this knowledge. You are beyond this knowledge. But how many of us can claim that we are absolutely peaceful, absolutely calm, composed in any situation in life? We can't claim. None of us can claim that. Why can't we claim that? Why it is happening? Because we don't know the knowledge of life and living. That is where the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita comes. So, therefore, chapter second, I am still on the thought flow. So, the second chapter is called a Yoga of Knowledge, Sankhya Yoga. So, what is that knowledge? So, repeatedly, you have been saying Bhagavad Gita is nothing but instruction manual for life, as simple as that. Everything has got manual in life except for life. So, what is that manual for life? It is Bhagavad Gita. So, to begin with, Krishna gives the highest knowledge. It is almost at the level of Upanishad, the beginning of second chapter. Now, why he is doing that? Because of two reasons. First reason is to shake us out of that complacency in which we all have fallen. If I ask you, for argument's sake, I mean, how are you? All of you will say, I'm fine in your own way. Yes, there are certain challenges in life, but I'm managing it well. At the end of the day, I'm doing good. So to which he's saying, see, it's like a dreamer saying, I'm fine. Where? In a dream state. A dream state which is not real, and you're saying, I have comfortably settled down. Only last month I paid off the home debt, now absolutely debt free. He's saying the strong words they use, the mood of fools. I mean, the dreamer is saying, I'm complacent. So to give that jolt, I mean, what is your worth and where are you stuck in life? You belong to that state of infinite peace, infinite bliss, and you are waiting for the candies from the world for your happiness. As simple as that. Then yesterday we had a nice gathering at Uncle Moy's place. Everybody was there, family members. Sajdev uncle was there, and Sita's dog also was there. Jenny, I don't know whether Sita is here with a dog, but it's, I mean, you learn. All the time you are learning. Desperate, that dog, so cute it is, he wants to hug everybody. So if you ignore her, she gets restless. So her happiness depends on whether I'm paying attention to her. If I don't pay attention to her, poor thing is disturbed. So that is my condition. That is your condition. It's a question of more or less begging at the doors of body, mind, intellect for crumbs of happiness. Are you getting it? When you have that infinite peace, infinite bliss within you. So the entire second chapter, Sankhya Yoga, Yoga of Knowledge, he's educating us on that. Come out of that complacency. Even if you are comfortable, it's not that you're acting, but still, what kind of comfort is that? It's not true comfort. It's called as pig's contentment. Pig also is happy. Where? In the filth. Similarly, we also may claim we are happy. Where? Playing with the toys of the world. So that first jolt he gives, that knowledge is must for two reasons. First of all, to manage your life. Therefore, we say it is instruction manuals for life. And secondly, to find out your true identity, which is that infinite peace, infinite bliss. So that's the gist of the second chapter. But then he understands that people like you and me have to act in the world. So, how to use action to purify our personality? That is the third chapter. It's called as Karma Yoga, Yoga of Action. So, in that, the very right in the beginning, he says action is must. And especially back home in India, it's not happening in America. Usually, 99% of people, they believe Bhagavad Gita has to be studied once you cross 60, 65, 70 is of no use. It's a post-retirement hobby for good many people. Having given up action, you want to start Bhagavad Gita. He's saying action is must. Right in the beginning, he says, inaction is death. So how many times you have heard me, Swamiji is saying that you must die with your boots on. The moment you give up action, it is your downfall. Your downfall will start. So action is must. Number one. Number two, how to act. So you must act unselfishly. You must act for loka sangraha. Doesn't matter what you are doing. You may be at home, you may be in politics, you may be in business, you may be in a profession, whatever you're doing, doesn't matter. Your action should be to benefit others. You don't have to do anything different. If you're a doctor, practice medicine so that you can help patients. That should be the focus. If you're a teacher, I'm teaching right now, the focus has to be on how can I help students. If you are designing these robot cars, Shakti's field, you could do it, what can I get? Or it could be, how can I create comfort for people with this technology? It's so comfortable. I mean, we all have used that Waymo cars. Life has become so easy. So whatever you are doing karma yoga, you are purifying your action when you are doing it with a higher ideal in life. Most people, they act completely selfishly. That pollutes your personality. So how to use action, how action purifies your personality. When it purifies your personality, when you have higher ideal in life, loka sangraha, act for loka sangraha. And when you do that, then action goes hand in hand with peace. It's a rare combination. Are you getting it? Those who are active, they are not peaceful. The moment you give up action, you are relatively peaceful, but there is no action, there is no productivity, there is no success, there is no prosperity. So, how to combine action and peace? So, he gives that technique. I'm just recapping so that you understand the thought flow. So when you function for loka sangraha, when you function unselfishly in life, quantity of your desires reduces and the quality of your desire picks up. Otherwise, you remain with self-centered, egocentric desires all life. And once that happens, the quality has improved. Then, chapter 4 and chapter 5, he gives us the technique of fine tuning the action. So, when you fine tune that action, you reach a state of renunciation in action. So, you are very much in the world, but you are detached from what you are doing. Dispassionate passion, that's the word we use. And when you continue in this direction, then you qualify for meditation. See, that is where chapter 6 comes in. And when we say you qualify for meditation, it means you become meditative. Are you getting the thought flow? Can we have that Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, that PowerPoint? So I already explained the thought flow in chapter, all the 5 chapters, but to make it complete, what is spiritual path all about? See, all the scriptures, they're telling us human being minus desires equals state of self-realization. Or whether you read Bible, whether you read Quran, whether you read Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, this is the message. So what is the barrier? Why we are not in a state of self-realization? Why it is obscured? Because self-created desires. Now, 95% people in the world, for argument's sake, they have no clue of purifying their personality. There is no chance. So they are just creating more and more self-centered desires. This is what they are doing. Acquire, enjoy, all for selfish reasons. But somebody like you and me, a person who has understood the purpose of life, that life is to find out our identity, then how we do that? So they prescribe 3 spiritual practices: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Now, Karma Yoga, we already discussed how to use action to purify our personality. Bhakti Yoga is nothing but path of devotion, how to use devotion to purify our emotions, to our mind. And Jnana Yoga is path of knowledge, which we are studying here. So it is in your interest to find out what is your personality. Every human being needs all 3 to evolve spiritually. You need action, you need devotion, you need knowledge. But that proportion changes from person to person. See, what applies to me may not apply to Makran. What applies to Makran may not apply to Vijay. If Vijay, let's say, needs more devotion compared to Makran, you need to cater to your devotional needs. And again, it varies. If somebody is very emotional, they need a set of devotional practices. Could be going to a church or a temple or going on a pilgrimage. But those who are intellectual, they don't need these devotional practices. They just intellectually they can intuit the consciousness. What is this world? Is nothing but a projection on that supreme reality, and it's a wonderment. It's nothing but devotion. What is sustaining the whole world is nothing but the divinity. So that is devotion, that is surrender. And knowledge is to understand the purpose of our life. So how you evolve spiritually? How do you purify your desires? How do you eliminate your desires? Through Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. So you need to find out what is your need. How much of action, how much of devotion, how much of knowledge. So once you do that, your desires at action, emotion, and knowledge level, they start reducing if you continue in this fashion. And then you reach a state of uparati, when bulk of the desires are reduced through karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. You reach a state of uparati, is nothing but a sense of renunciation in action. It's not physical withdrawal, it is mental withdrawal. So how do you know you have reached that state? You are active, you are dynamic, but also you're not bothered by what is happening. You're not involved, you're not entangled, you're not anxious, you're not stressed. You're absolutely calm, you're absolutely cool, yet you are active, you are dynamic. So that is the state you reach when you practice karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. It is called as uparati. And as you continue, you gain that concentration, contemplation, where your mind does not waver at all. See, right now we don't have that kind of concentration, right? Why we don't have that concentration? You can't say I don't have zero concentration, then what are we doing? But how many of us can claim that whatever task we are doing, absolutely we are sharp focused on that? I'm talking about anything, not necessarily spiritual path. What is it which distracts us?
Agitations of the mind.
Mhm. It's open, even those who are attending online. What
Our
is
desires.
our desires? Excellent. So once your desires are gone, bulk of the desires are gone, what is there to disturb you, isn't it? So that state is called as dharana. Dharana means concentration, contemplation. And as you continue, when practically all the desires are gone, that state is called as meditation. So dhyana or dhyan is a Sanskrit word. So therefore, meditation is a state, it's not a practice. When you are calm, you are meditative. Meditation does not calm the mind. So it's a very high state. One in million perhaps can claim that I have reached that state. So the entire spiritual path is based on cause and effect. This is the science of spiritual evolution. Now, if you understand this chart, you have understood what is spiritual evolution. If you don't understand this chart, you will never understand what is spiritual evolution. And rarely anybody understands that. See, people often ask this question to us, they have been asking Swamiji for a long time, don't you teach meditation? Don't you teach meditation? Meditation cannot be taught. Either you are meditative or you are not. I think yesterday I was listening to a question and answer session with Swamiji. I think I got a link from the ashram, some old question and answer where Swamiji was sharing his experience. That when he launched into the spiritual journey at age of 30, 32, or maybe before that. So he met a master. I'm not talking about Swamiji's immediate guru with whom he spent some time. So another person who had come from Himalayas to spend some time in Bombay. I forgot his name. 60 years of his life he had spent in the Himalayas. At the age of 15, he went there. And when he was 75, after 60 years, first time he came to the plains. So he said he was so restless. Restless in the sense, there were all the comforts. He is a well-known person. All the comforts were made available to him, people were at his beck and call. Swamiji, sir, teach. Why don't you do this? He was least interested in anything. So that is a state of meditation. That does not mean you withdraw to Himalaya. Somebody may say, okay, thank you. No, you could be dynamic. You could be working in Manhattan, right? You could be busy, but you are least interested in what the world has to offer. Why so? Because the bulk of the desires are gone. So that's the state of meditation. You become meditative. It's not necessary that you sit down and start chanting Om. You may do it, you may not do it. So if you understand this chart, you understood what is meditation. If you don't understand this, you will never understand. And it is extremely difficult for me to explain this to anybody. It's not possible. How can we explain? Where everybody is trying to meditate. A lot of baking is required till the pie is served on the table, isn't it? You understand that? I don't know. I mean, I'm trying various ways. You can't simply give a pie. If I cook a pie, it will be not baked properly. But when these ladies, when they cook, ask them how much of preparation is required. So meditation is like a fully baked pie, which is served on the table. But how much of process is required? So this is where meditation fits in your spiritual progress. And that's the entire chapter all about. Now, coming back to the chapter 6, there are 47 verses in this chapter. And these 47 verses, they can be divided into 6 topics. Now, this topic-wise summary is not in original Bhagavad Gita. It's part of the research done by Swamiji. So it becomes easy for us to understand what is the thought flow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask some of you to read the topic summary. So the first topic is Yogi rises to Jnani. Who is supposed to read?
Should
Yeah. Can you please come here and read? Oh, yeah. Read the introduction also.
Yeah. The Yoga of Meditation. The 6th chapter, entitled Dhyana Yoga, contains 47 verses. Through proper service and sacrifice, one develops sufficient renunciation to enable one to concentrate, meditate, and realize the Supreme Self. The preceding chapter helps the seeker to attain dispassion and thus prepare himself for meditation. This chapter continues with the process of spiritual development, culminating in the practice of meditation and the ultimate merging with Brahman. The first topic, Yogi rises to Jnani. The first 9 verses reiterate the 3 stages of spiritual development described in the preceding chapter. A yogi with worldly vasanas needs karma yoga, the path of action, to evolve spiritually. Through action, he sheds his vasanas and becomes a sannyasi. A sannyasi, in a state of renunciation, needs meditation and quietude to reach the ultimate state of a jnani. Both yogi and sannyasi head towards the same goal of self-realization, but their sadhanas or spiritual practices differ. Whatever the sadhana, every seeker must put in his own effort to raise himself by himself. Topic 2. Eternal and internal principles for meditation. Sorry, external and internal disciplines for meditation. Yogi and sannyasi are both on the spiritual path. However, the sannyasi alone, having developed a dispassion for the world, qualifies for meditation and realization. This chapter enumerates all the steps that one must take for practicing meditation. It also details the environmental, physical, mental, and intellectual preparations necessary to take the seat of meditation. When a seeker follows all these preparations, he will become freed from desire, possessiveness, and the consequent sorrow. He will then become established in yoga and be fully prepared for plunging into meditation.
For you. Controlled mind remains peaceful. Through physical, mental, and intellectual disciplines, one must withdraw the mind from its preoccupation with the world and direct it to the self within. Render the mind introvert. As soon as the mind tastes the bliss of self, it will know that there is no greater enjoyment. Being established therein, the greatest sorrow in the world cannot disturb its equanimity and peace. One practices that yoga, union with self, through complete control of the senses and of the thought lava which produces desires. This sets the stage for the practice of meditation and realization of the self. Chapter 4, Topic 4. Meditation reveals self in one and all. The mind in the state of meditation thinks of the self. The intellect holds the mind single-pointedly upon the self without allowing it to slip into any other thought. Whenever the mind wanders away, the intellect brings it back through supervision and control. By maintaining single-pointed thought of the self, the mind becomes absolutely tranquil and quiet. The jnani then experiences the infinite bliss of Brahman. Thereafter, he sees the self in all beings and all beings in the self. He sees the Supreme Being everywhere.
Topic 5. Can a restless mind be controlled? After Krishna had completed his masterly exposition of how to discipline and control the mind, Arjuna doubts if the mind can be ever brought under control. He wonders how the mind, a restless, turbulent, strong, and obstinate entity, can be controlled. And even if forcefully brought under control, how can the mind continue to remain steady and calm? Krishna assures Arjuna that the intellect can control the mind through sustained practice and dispassion. Arjuna feels further confusion as to what happens to a seeker and all his efforts if he fails to attain self-realization in his lifetime. Will he not be denied both the material and spiritual worlds and left with neither? Krishna answers this question in the last topic of the chapter. Topic 6. Yogi unites with Brahman. Krishna quells Arjuna's concern that a seeker falling short of realization in his life will be lost. He assures Arjuna that no yogi seeking the truth will ever suffer either here or hereafter. Even if he fails to attain self-realization, he will gain a heavenly bliss and reincarnate in a pure and wealthy home or in a family of wise yogis. The latter will provide an ideal environment for him to continue his spiritual pursuit and reach the supreme goal of realization. Therefore, Krishna advises Arjuna to practice yoga with devotion and determination until he merges with the Supreme Brahman.
All right. So you know the thought flow now. So It will take us approximately 3 months to complete this chapter. And if you cannot make it to every lecture we are recording, so you have that facility of listening to the recordings. And also we are doing it in person. It's a nice experience. Those are in Detroit area, Troy area, so they can come and attend. And all of you I will recommend you get hold of Swamiji's commentary on Bhagavad Gita if you are planning to attend regularly. If you're just trying it out, 1 or 2 lectures, then don't rush. But book is recommended. It's a product of 30 to 35 years of research. And I'll be teaching from the book. So book is available on Amazon. Those who like soft copies are also available, right? On Kindle and all that. Books. Yeah. Perfect. So let's start with the first verse.
श्रीभगवानुवाच अनाश्रितः कर्मफलम् कार्यं कर्म करोति यः स सन्न्यासी च योगी च न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः श्रीभगवानुवाच अनाश्रितः कर्मफलम् कार्यं कर्म करोति यः स सन्न्यासी च योगी च न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः.
It's a very famous verse, oft-quoted verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Blessed Lord said, he who does his bounden duty without depending on the fruit of action, anashrita karma phalam. He is sannyasi and a yogi, not the one without fire and not the one without action. See, he removes all misconceptions about who is spiritual, what is spiritual path, isn't it? If I were to ask you, this group, they say, I know. I'm talking about people who don't know. What is their understanding of a spiritual path? Who is spiritual? So he demolishes all these misconceptions. So spirituality or being spiritual has got nothing to do with a particular dress code. Wearing cream, kurta, pajama, sweater does not make you spiritual. Right? Now, that does not mean don't wear it. I mean, Converse is not true. At least start with that. So it has got nothing to do with the dress code. Spirituality has got nothing to do with titles. Shri, 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 Jigar Kapadia. I mean, what does it mean? It means nothing. It has got nothing to do with a particular profession. That you have to be a priest, you have to teach Vedanta, you have to do this. Nothing. It has got nothing to do with where you live, what kind of a lifestyle you are living. It has got nothing to do with your gender. It has got nothing to do with any tricks. This is what people believe. Being spiritual means you acquire some magical powers, you start doing some miracles. He demolishes all these myths of being spirituality. Who is spiritual? And who is spiritual? He gives 4 parameters, 4 guidelines. And he says, Yaha saha, he who, meaning it's a universal application. So if your life is based on these 4 principles, doesn't matter who you are, what you are a spiritual person. So what are these 4 parameters, 4 guidelines is giving? So the first is he does what he ought to do. He does his obligatory duties in a spirit of detachment, understood, whether at home, whether at work, whether in the society. So that is first condition. Being spiritual means you have to do your obligatory duties in life. And people misunderstand that being spiritual means walking away from your duties. He removes that misconception. Each one has got his or her duties in life. So you have to do your duties at home, at work, as a member of society, community. That is first. I'm going to explain later. I'm just reading out. But then how should you do your duties? You should do your duties in a sense of renunciation. See, therefore he says, anashrita karma phalam. It's fascinating. So you may say, I'm also doing my duties, but how are you doing your duties? You are completely entangled in your duties, obsessed, possessed by your duties. So he says, you have to do your duties. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, but you must do your duties without result orientation. You must do what you ought to do. As a parent, you have to do your duties. But getting involved is, I don't have to go into the explanation. All the time worried about what will happen to my child, what will happen to my. He's saying you should be free of all that, but do whatever you have to do. Similarly, in your own profession, it could be in business, whatever you're doing, you give your level best. But why are you worried about what is going to come out of that? See, that's what makes it unspiritual. It's not that you do any different action. Same action, if you remove result orientation, and if you just do what you ought to do, that action becomes spiritual. You may be in a so-called spiritual action, but if you are doing it for selfish reasons, if you are result oriented, it becomes unspiritual. From worldly point of view, I'm talking from layman's point of view. Another person may be in Manhattan, sitting on the 50th floor in a famous tower, but he is doing his obligatory duties in the spirit of renunciation. He is dynamic, he's just doing what he ought to do. That is spirituality. So that is second guideline. Third guideline, without fire. What is the Sanskrit word here? Not the one without fire. Fire in this context, meaning he has a higher ideal in life. Unselfishness. We already covered that. Whatever you are doing it for the loka sangraha, for the benefit of others. If you are working in the corporate world, you must think in terms of how my actions can benefit my corporation. If you're in politics, you must think in terms of how I can use power to help the community, the world, perhaps. And not without action.
Amanda.
Meaning you are active, you are dynamic. See, usually spirituality is associated with what? Giving up action. And what he's saying? Not one without the action. So what you need to understand is, I'm trying to explain the gist of what he's saying now. There are three types of actions which any human being can perform: selfish, unselfish, and selfless. So the selfish action is good, meaning whole world is performing selfish action, egocentric desires. What can I get for myself? So entire life you are working for you and your family. There's nothing beyond that. When you say you are working for your family, you're working for who? Yourself. Don't kid that I'm working for my son, I'm working for my... No, Children are nothing but extension of you. So you see yourself being reflected in your family. There's nothing wrong with that. But whole life, most people, 90%, 95% of humanity, they are just working to fulfill their self-centered desires. That is all. There's no other aim in life. Acquire, enjoy, acquire, enjoy. There is nothing, they cannot think of anything beyond this. But there are a handful of people who are genuinely unselfish. You get the difference. I mean, rather than working for yourself, you work for a cause. You have a higher ideal in life. Like Vijay is working in the corporate sector. Just as an example, he could be working just to fulfill his selfish desires, or he could be genuinely working for the welfare of the company. The thoughts are, how can I help my organization? But still, it is a desire in action. Still, you could become entangled, enmeshed in the action. So, what is when he says anashrita karma phalam, meaning you just have to do what you ought to do, meaning you have to perform selfless action. So, selfless action is your intellect fixes a goal. Whatever you're doing in life, your intellect decides this is what I have to do, this is my talent, and this is how I'm going to achieve my particular goal. So you plan, you program. Having done that, you simply plunge into action. So you just do what you ought to do, and you go on fine-tuning if required. So you need to suit your action to meet a particular requirement. You have to go on fine-tuning the action. But having done that, switch off. Why? Why are you worried about the future? Why are you worried about the past? Why are you worried about what is going to come out of that action? Now, that does not mean you don't plan. That does not mean you don't program. That does not mean you don't use your intellect. This is where people misunderstand. See, I repeat, selfish action is when a person works just for himself. There is no other purpose in life. Unselfish action is you work for others. Same action, but the attitude is how can I help others? You work in the spirit of service and sacrifice, but still you could get involved, entangled in action because of that result orientation. See, I know one person, a very fine human being. Anytime I go to New York, this time also he asked me the question. And I told him, sir, you're asking this question to me for the fifth time. Maybe you have forgotten, I have not forgotten. Well, each time I have to listen to same complaint for 10, 15 minutes. So he's saying that I am genuinely working for the welfare of the community. And he's trying to help that community. So he's involved in a couple of non-profits and all that. Sir, I'm having sleepless nights. Blood pressure is going up. And then he's asking me, this is what Bhagavad Gita says. No self-centered person is happy. And if you're unselfish, how can you be? You have to be peaceful. He says, I'm unselfish, but I'm highly disturbed. What is it? I mean, can you please explain to me? Everything is involved. Now, why others are not contributing? I mean, whatever they are doing, they have X amount of contribution. Is engineering, all the X is from IIT, IIT Mumbai or something. I think Shruti also from any IITians here. Yeah, Shruti I know for sure. So they have like some 5,000, 10,000 members, and he is the president of that organization, and there is X amount of fee, $100, $150, or whatever it may be, $500. He is saying, half my energy goes in trying to convince people to make their contribution. And when they don't contribute, he goes into sleepless nights. Secondly, why can't they? It's a non-profit. We're here to serve whatever engineering, and they don't come on for the meetings. Series of complaints. Anashrita karma phala. Are you getting it? You just do what you ought to do. Now, why are you worried about others? See, some of you are aware that how are we functioning as a team here. See the amount of efforts which are going to organize these lectures. I mean, Jigar knows what I'm saying. Makaran knows what I'm saying. Radha knows what I'm saying. To have this event in person, how many meetings we must have had? 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings. And how many people are here? I'm not complaining. I rather have 7, 8 people. So we thought maybe somebody can take care of parking. Where are the cars to park? There is nobody here. And there's 7, 8 people. Anashrita karma phala. See, one thing could be we could be disappointed. I'm not saying we are disappointed, but we can slip into that. It's not for selfish reasons. Genuinely, we are doing it for the community. We want to give this knowledge. But if there are no takers, I mean, how does it matter? See, that is where that selfless action comes. So the moment you become result oriented, the moment you become involved in the action, you will lose your peace of mind. So though you are doing what you ought to do, but you are result oriented. So just do what you ought to do. No prefixes, no suffixes. Don't involve your ego. No I, no my. So just carry on with the action and remove result orientation from the action. Remove that ego, remove that I, remove egocentric desires. What is left after you remove all this paraphernalia? What is left? Yes. Only action, pure action. So that pure action is, if you're performing that action, pure action, then you are spiritual. That is spirituality. Now, you may be student of Vedanta, you may be in politics, you may be in business, you may be in sports, you may be doing whatever. If you follow these 4 principles, then you become, that is being spiritual. So that is perfection in the action. And in our context, in the context of spiritual path, see, the moment you become result oriented, the whole thing spoils. It's not being spiritual. A lot of people, they come and ask me, am I progressing? Am I progressing? Yes, obviously you should be aware whether you're going in the right direction or not. But the moment you become involved in your own growth, it ceases to be a spiritual action. Then you're not following anashrita karma phalam. So just make sure you're on the right path, you're putting required efforts, and just continue. So therefore he says, not the one without fire. It's not that you are blindly doing any action. Definitely you have a fixation. Definitely you know what is your goal. Definitely you know how to achieve your goal. So all that planning and programming is done by the intellect. See, we have 3-year course in Vedanta Academy. Anybody who is interested, genuinely interested in spiritual evolution, that is a place. Age group 18 to 30. So there's no need to get disappointed. I mean, at that age, I mean, fine, you can encourage your children, grandchildren to do that. Somebody may ask me why Swamiji is biased, why only 18 to 30 is not, he's biased. In army, will you take anybody at the age of 55? It's not that, you may have that, you may be patriotic, but are you in a condition to fight for your nation? So when you are young, I mean, you're fresh. No, you're not biased. No, you're receptive to new ideas, fresh ideas. And also, it's not an easy course. It's 3-year continuous on-campus course. You can't leave campus. You have to stay there for 3 years. So that's the structured program. But as far as you are concerned, all of you or some of you are following a structured course here. Are you getting what I am trying to say? See, otherwise you could be meandering, one day you follow this path, second day you follow this path. No, saying not the one without, one has to have that fixation, that ideal. That's what he means by fire. So continue attending classes. Some of you are doing e-learning. That is the structured program I'm talking about. And when you follow a structured program, then you progress in the spiritual path. Then sannyasi becomes jnani, meaning you evolve spiritually. So I will explain this next week when you are fresh. I'm just trying to give you the gist of this verse. But it's a very famous verse. It removes all misconceptions of spirituality. Unfortunately, nobody reads this verse. See, that's the reason a truly spiritual person is never known. How will you know? So your condition is he has to have that title. He just Amit, he just Veera, he has to be Shri Veera. So out. He may be a highly spiritual person. Are you performing some miracles? If you are spiritual, you have to perform some miracles. You're out. The dress code. Where is the beard? You're clean shaven. Out. Most of us will be, my colleagues will be out. The people believe that being spiritual, you have to have a beard. So all sorts of weird concepts. You have to be living in an ashram, doing some kind of weird practices. It demolishes all that. If it was so, then nobody can be spiritual. What is spirituality? Some handful of people will be able to they can be spiritual. So any human being can be spiritual. What is being spirituality? He gives these four fascinating parameters. So just do what you ought to do in life. Do your obligatory duties in the spirit of renunciation. You have to have a goal. You have to have an ideal in life. It's not that you're just meandering in life. And you have to be active. You have to be dynamic. And people believe being spiritual means giving up everything. Being lazy is not being spiritual. So I will catch you when you are fresh next week. So any quick doubts before we conclude, especially those who are attending online? See, slowly we are going to build up a thought flow. So first few weeks you need to cooperate with me. You will understand the thought flow. Yeah, somebody had a question, right? So no questions? Here in person? All clear? Okay, excellent. So I'll see you next week, same time.
Thank you, Amit ji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
Amit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amit ji.
Thank you, Amit ji.